Good evening and welcome to California Today. I'm Daniel Hall, sitting in for Lang Jiang. Here's a preview of today's stories. The Los Angeles City Attorney charged a man that allegedly attacked comedian Dave Chappelle last week. The lawsuit comes after the LA District Attorney said the man's actions were a misdemeanor and refused to prosecute. California is pushing for a new bill that would allow minors to get the COVID jab. Minors would not even need parental consent. And a co-founder of Black Lives Matter defended her actions buying a $6 million house in Los Angeles. That's just a portion of the money raised after the 2020 death of George Floyd. This may be some kind of twisted, dark humor, but after comedian Dave Chappelle was attacked last week on stage, the Los Angeles District Attorney decided to not prosecute the offender. The city attorney took matters into his own hands. The attacker was charged.
Los Angeles City Attorney Mike Feuer announced late Thursday afternoon that his office had filed 4 misdemeanor counts against a man suspected of attacking comedian Dave Chappelle. The announcement comes hours after District Attorney George Gascon's office declined to file felony charges against a man who tackled Chappelle on stage at the Hollywood Bowl on May 3rd.
This alleged attack has got to have consequences, and this afternoon, my office has filed charges alleging battery, possession of a weapon with the intent to assault, and charges relating to interfering with a performance.
Police arrested 23-year-old Isaiah Lee on suspicion of assault with a deadly weapon and was being held on $30,000 bail. On Wednesday, police released photos of a replica gun with a knife that Lee allegedly had in a bag during last Tuesday night's incident.
My office takes protecting public safety extremely seriously, and we are going to vigorously prosecute this case.
The Los Angeles DA's office referred the case to the city attorney's office for misdemeanor filing consideration. The DA's office does not prosecute misdemeanor crimes within the city of LA. At the same time, Gascon is facing a recall. The recall committee said on May 6 that Gascon's failure to pursue felony charges against the man who attacked Chappelle continues to erode some of people's trust in the DA, who was first elected in 2020. Recall Gascon spokesperson Tim Lineberger told the Epic Times, "We're continuing to see increased engagement as these stories come out every day. This stuff has happened left and right, and all of it motivates people to get involved." On May 5th, the group announced they've raised over $6 million and have more than 400,000 signatures. Eileen Ang, NTD News, California.
California lawmakers are still pushing for new COVID jab laws, but that's just a jumping off point. State legislators advanced a bill that would allow minors to get any vaccine without parental consent. NTD's Cynthia Kai has more.
California is one step closer to allowing minors to receive any vaccine without parental consent. The Senate Judiciary Committee moved Senate Bill 866 forward on May 5th in a 7-0 vote, with 4 abstaining.
1 million California teenagers are unvaccinated for COVID. Having a large number of unvaccinated teens undermines public health and increases the risk of infection, hospitalization, and death for those kids, but also for others around them.
Senators Scott Wiener and Richard Pan authored SB 866. The bill would allow minors 12 years and older to sidestep parental consent and receive FDA-approved vaccines. According to the bill analysis, the legislation is intended to be a resource to minors whose parents are too busy and unable to take them to receive a vaccine due to lack of paid time off or even medical neglect. Meanwhile, the Catholic Families for Freedom, California, wrote in opposition to the bill. The organization wrote, "Teens lack the necessary maturity to make sound medical decisions and are generally more vulnerable to coercion than adults. And if parents are not aware that their children has recently received a vaccine, their ability to properly monitor that child for any side effects is hampered and may cause a delay in timely treatment." SB 866 survives several other COVID-19 related bills that were paused by their authors. This includes SB 871, which would have required all K-12 students to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. Senator Richard Pan pulled his bill earlier last month. However, SB 866 is expected to be heard in more committees at a later date.
One of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter is denying wrongdoing. The last 11 months have been turbulent for the former leader of BLM, Patrisse Cullors. She faced a barrage of questions about how BLM Global Network Foundation spent tens of millions of dollars. And not only that, but concerns that she personally benefited as a prominent voice in the group. In one case, the Indiana Attorney General filed a lawsuit against a BLM charity for failing to disclose its financial information. NTD's Kevin Hogan has Cullors' defense and more.
You know, the idea that Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation received millions of dollars and then I hid those dollars in my bank account is absolutely false. That's a false narrative.
Cullors admitted that she made mistakes and lost trust during her 6 years guiding the foundation, but the activist denied she ever wrongfully used donations meant to help black people. At issue is the foundation's reported purchase in 2020 of a compound in LA for $6 million. Cullors addressed this as well.
We looked at commercial buildings, we looked at, homes, and then we found this really amazing space that's a sweet spot between commercial and residential that has office spaces, that has parking, that has, yes, a home on the property, but also has a sound stage where you could do podcasts and you could do live events in the backyard.
The property is in the Studio City neighborhood of Los Angeles. It includes a home with 6 beds and 6 baths, a swimming pool, as well as a soundstage. The property is meant to be a meeting place and a campus for a fellowship of black artists. Cullors addressed concerns that she was hiring her family to work on the property.
I think it's important that people understand that while my brother is the head of security and my mom and sister did work at the property, there are also dozens of other people who work in the organization that are black folks and are doing amazing work. It's not like I literally opened up the bank accounts and was like, I'm bringing all my family and friends in. Folks had skill sets.
BLM raised $90 million in 2020 after protests over the death of George Floyd, but the organization drew criticism after the announcement. That was over who had access to the donor funds. Local chapters and others also called for more transparency about the foundation.
A county sheriff's office said that one of their deputies was nearly killed when a drunk driver ran a red light. Law enforcement released a video of the collision on Monday.
According to the Alameda County Sheriff's Office, a deputy is in the hospital after colliding with the drunk driver's car. The collision occurred on Sunday around 4:30 a.m. in Oakland. Surveillance footage shows the deputy's patrol car crossing an intersection when another car tears through the light. The drunk driver allegedly ran a red light at a high speed and crashed into the patrol deputy vehicle. Photos show the suspect vehicle flipped on its side in front of a church. The deputy's patrol car's front end was totaled. The sheriff's office posted in a tweet, "Had the vehicle impacted the driver's side door of the patrol car, our deputy would have been killed." This video speaks volumes about the dangers of drunk driving. The sheriff's office said the deputy was transported to the hospital with injuries, but will recover. The drunk driver was arrested. We are thankful nobody died. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
We're going to take a short break, but here's what we've got ready for you when we come back. The parent company of Turbotax recently settled a lawsuit to pay millions back to consumers. It was accused of deceptive advertising. An assembly bill is looking to change publicly owned golf courses into affordable housing, but some residents are not happy with the proposed change. And people both gathered and paraded through the streets of San Francisco in celebration of World Falun Dafa Day. Those involved called attention to not only how the practice helped elevate their lives, but also the dark truth of how a foreign regime is killing people for their faith. That and more on California Today. Intuit, the owner of Turbotax, the largest e-file tax preparer in the United States, has recently agreed to pay millions back to its customers. The company was sued and accused for deceptive advertising of its free tax software.
About 370,000 Californians will receive a total of $11.4 million through a settlement with software company Intuit. It's part of a $141 million nationwide settlement. The company was accused of deceptive advertising of its free online Turbotax products, as announced by plaintiffs on May 4th. 51 attorneys general, as well as California's Attorney General Rob Bonta, filed the lawsuit. Bonta's office said that from 2007 to 2021, Intuit offered 2 free products through TurboTax, one as a commercial product, which simplifies the tax filing process through its own software, and the other is a free program in partnership with the IRS. This allegedly caused confusion. Bonta said the company used tactics to steer taxpayers away from the free IRS program into its own paid product. The product provides free services for what is called simple tax returns. But customers would spend hours filling in their info and then were required to pay around $60 or more when the program identified their taxes as not simple. The settlement also requires Intuit to clearly and conspicuously disclose in advertisements any limitations of its free product and let taxpayers know at the earliest point possible when they don't qualify for using a free product.
Authorities in one Northern California county identified 2 people who died in a plane crash last week. On Monday, the Marin County Sheriffs released the name of 2 victims who died in the crash on May 6th. The department named 57-year-old Michael Breyer and 52-year-old Jennifer Lynn Fox. Both were from Sacramento. On Friday at approximately 12:09 p.m., a small plane crashed into the hillside of the Marin Headlands near Slackers Hill. The crash is located northwest of the Golden Gate Bridge. When first responders arrived at 2 p.m., the individuals were declared deceased. According to the sheriff's office, heavy fog and condensation obscured visibility in the area and delayed the search for the aircraft. The cause of death is under investigation. The Marin County Sheriff's Office and coroner staff conveyed their condolences to friends and family of the 2. A new bill is proposing to convert some California publicly owned golf courses into affordable housing sites. The goal is to solve the housing shortage. Opposers said it would not only monetize the property, but it also is not what the community wants.
Assembly Bill 1910 proposes to convert some California publicly owned golf courses into affordable housing sites. The Assembly Local Government Committee passed the bill last month after a 5-2 vote. Bill author Assemblywoman Cristina Garcia said, local governments need to start thinking outside the box when it comes to building housing units. Under this proposal, about 250 out of the total 1,100 publicly owned golf courses could potentially be transformed into housing. The state's Department of Housing and Community Development would offer grants to local agencies to transform the golf courses for residential use. Developers would need to ensure 25% affordable units and 15% open space. The bill is anticipated to help the state fulfill the large number of housing units required by California's Regional Housing Needs Assessment. The assessment mandated local governments in Southern California to build over 1.3 million units in total, with 100,000 units per year. California Yes in My Backyard stated that the bill would help to solve the land shortage for housing. But Trust for Public Land, or TPL, said that it would allow more cities to monetize the property as much as possible and leave out community voices. TPL said they are currently working on a golf course in Orange County, where the citizens of Santa Ana overwhelmingly want more park space. Residents have previously sued the city to prevent it from rushing to build a water park and market-rate housing. Dozens of golf clubs in the state have also opposed the bill. The bill will later be heard in the Appropriations Committee on an unspecified date.
Fleet Week's schedule has moved up for Los Angeles. The annual event is returning to the Southern California port for both entertainment and a display of military sea vessels. Let's look at when the ships will be up for touring this year.
Officials announced this week that Fleet Week would return to the port of Los Angeles. Fleet Week was historically scheduled for the Labor Day weekend, but this year it has been moved up to the Memorial Day weekend, welcoming visitors from May 27th through the 30th. In 2020, the event was virtual and was postponed last year during the COVID-19 pandemic. This year's event will coincide with Fleet Week in New York. Democratic Representative Nanette Diaz-Barragán said in a press release that each year LA Fleet Week draws visitors from across Southern California. Fleet Week celebrates active military personnel. Recently deployed military ships dock in several cities across the country for 1 week. The battleship SS Iowa Museum will serve as the anchor for the celebration. The location is home to the National Museum of the Service Navy. This is the largest annual event in the Los Angeles waterfront. The event will include tours of active Navy ships. In addition to that, there will be military displays, flyovers, and science and technology expositions. Fleet Week is also a platform for Los Angeles to conduct disaster management. This includes exercises between local first responders and service members across multiple branches. This year's event will feature the first Freedom of the Seas Maritime Leadership Symposium. This executive-level meeting will aim to tackle supply chain issues. Free live music will be on the program all weekend.
Over the weekend in San Francisco, people gathered to celebrate the 30th anniversary since the introduction of a meditation practice popular all over the world. People paraded through the city afterwards. Here's NTD's Jason Blair with more.
It's the 30th anniversary since the practice of Falun Dafa was first introduced to the public. Bay Area practitioners gather in San Francisco to celebrate. Hundreds of people gathered at San Francisco's Ferry Building for the celebration. One attendee named Manny Gonzalez started practicing Falun Dafa, also known as Falun Gong, in August 2020.
I came upon some information that was put out by the, it said bad things about Dafa. And I later found out those websites were put up by the Communist Party of, the communist government.
That information that Gonzalez saw came from the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP. The CCP has actively persecuted, harmed, and killed people inside China for believing in Falun Dafa since 1999. But Gonzalez decided to investigate for himself.
I read John Falun, and then I realized, wait, this is nothing like what they're saying. It's a really good practice, and I want to start learning it. So I started learning the exercises and reading the book, and I've been practicing ever since.
Falun Dafa practitioners work to adhere to be better people in daily life. One way is by following the principles of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. Gonzalez, who traveled from Southern California for the event, said those principles changed him from an angry and resentful person to someone who is kind and goes with the flow.
Every time I do anything now, either in work or my personal life, I always reflect back on it now, and I really realize what can I do better, and how can I be more kind, and how can I be, a better person.
Linda Campbell, another Falun Gong practitioner from North Bay, has been practicing for 14 years. She said she used to get colds and flus often, but all that changed after taking up the practice in sincerity.
I look at it as a time of just gratitude and a time to just remember how wonderful it is that he brought this ancient practice to the public so that we could all benefit from it.
The parade embarked around noon to celebrate the day and raise public awareness. Many onlookers stopped to watch and appreciated the colors and messages of the banners.
I think it's a very happy event, and I love music. I love bands, so I can't think of a better way to express your joy and your principles, but through music.
It's all about truthfulness, mindfulness, and all about compassion, and looking after your fellow person and sort of stuff, and sort of just spiritually calming yourself down.
This is something that's on a much broader scale, and because, like you said, it is a matter of how it really impacts China and just the Chinese community at large, it just has me kind of fascinated.
I think that we should take stronger action to support the rights of people to have religious freedom in China. And everything I understand about Falun Gong is that it's a very peaceful religion. It focuses on benevolence.
I feel that we need to spread that word about what's happening so that people are aware and that demonstration can be peaceful.
And the parade went through downtown San Francisco and ended up here in Chinatown. The festivities continue next week in San Francisco. Jason Blair, NTD News, San Francisco.
Now to NTD's Thomas Christian for your sports update.
I'm Thomas Christian, giving you the California Today Sports Roundup. We are catching you up on the latest playoff action from over the weekend. First up, we had the LA Kings in a pivotal Game 4 in their first-round series against the Oilers. Jonathan Quick lost his catching glove in the second period and still kept defending Los Angeles' net, his bare left hand grasping at an Edmonton shot that went off the crossbar. With the Kings reeling from back-to-back blowout losses and teetering on the brink of a daunting playoff exit, their Stanley Cup winning goalie grabbed hold of his teammates and confidently pulled them back into this series with the Oilers. Quick made 31 saves with and without his glove during a masterful performance. Carl Grundstrom scored 2 third-period goals, and the Kings rebounded to even their first-round series with a 4-0 victory over Edmonton in Game 4 on Sunday night. After Trevor Moore and Troy Stecher scored in the first period, Quick earned his 10th career playoff shutout, while the Kings firmly shut down Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Los Angeles earned its first playoff victory on home ice since the club raised the Stanley Cup for the second time in 2014. The Kings took their first lead since Game 1 when Moore converted a slick pass from Philip Deneau midway through the first period for his second goal of the series. Moore, a Southern California native, got his only previous playoff experience in 2019 with Toronto. During 4-on-4 play later in the first, Stecher's shot from above the faceoff circle deflected off Duncan Keith's stick blade and went in for the deep defenseman's first goal for the Kings. Stecher, acquired from Detroit in February, played his first postseason game for LA in place of the scratched Jordan Spence. Oilers 0, Kings 4. Blazing into their second-round series against the Memphis Grizzlies, the Golden State Warriors shot an unparalleled 63% from the field to rout the Grizz 142-112. This one was never really close, as huge Stephen Curry and Jordan Poole scoring nights bloated Golden State's scoreboard. Poole ended with 27 points on an efficient 11 of 17 shooting, while Curry dropped 30 points on just 14 shots and another 14 free throw attempts. Klay Thompson had 21 and 9 rebounds, Kuminga added 18 on 8 for 10 shooting, and Andrew Wiggins tacked on another 17 for himself. Only 2 Warriors shot below 50% from the field, and Golden State also shot 53.1% from behind the three-point line. Flat out, the Grizzlies just needed to play better defense. The youthful upstart team showed its age in this matchup that saw the Grizzlies succumb to their inner frustrations, with some even lashing out on social media, firing back at their critics directly after the performance. Ja Morant still went for 34 points to lead all scorers, but had to exit the contest halfway through the fourth quarter due to a knee injury. Game 4 of the series will be played tonight at Chase Center in San Francisco. If the Warriors could take one more to make it a 3-1 lead in the series, they've more than likely punched their ticket to the Western Conference Finals. Grizzlies 112, Warriors 142. And that's all for sports.
That's all for tonight. You can join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. If you have any news tips or ideas for our show, or if you got a lead for us, send us an email at california.today@ntd.com. I'm Daniel Hall, sitting in for Lang Jiang. Have a wonderful evening.